I'm just notifying John Deere right now. If you do that, we're putting a 200% tariff on everything that you want to sell into the United States.
Donald Trump today vowed to impose a 200% tariff on John Deere's imports.
Just back in June, John Deere announced that they were relocating specific production lines to facilities in Mexico. Now, Donald Trump disagreed with this decision and left a significant threat that would ultimately affect the company's bottom line.
This wasn't supposed to be a crisis. It wasn't announced as a shutdown, a mass layoff, or a retreat from America. John Deere framed it as routine, just another strategic expansion in a globalized industry. But within hours, the reaction exploded into something far bigger. A manufacturing shift to Mexico turned into a political flashpoint. A corporate decision became a national debate, and suddenly, one of America's most iconic industrial brands found itself at the center of a looming trade war. When John Deere confirmed it would invest tens of millions of dollars into a new manufacturing facility in Monterrey, Mexico, the company emphasized continuity. Core production, it said, would remain in the United States. Only a small portion of output would move. Less than 5% of North American operations, according to the company's own estimates. But that reassurance didn't land the way Deere expected. Instead, it triggered a sharp backlash from lawmakers, farmers, and most visibly, former President Donald Trump. Trump's response was immediate and aggressive. From campaign stages to interviews, he framed Deere's move as betrayal, not efficiency, not strategy, betrayal. He floated the idea of a staggering 200% tariff on products built in Mexico and sold back into the United States, signaling that companies shifting production abroad would face severe consequences if he returned to office. The rhetoric was explosive, but the implications were even more serious. A tariff of that scale wouldn't just punish Deere, it would ripple through the agricultural economy, raising equipment prices, straining farm finances, and potentially provoking retaliation from US trade partners. What makes this moment so volatile is that it isn't just about Deere, it's about the future of American manufacturing in an era defined by automation, global supply chains, and political pressure. It's about whether companies can remain competitive without triggering public backlash, and it's about whether tariffs can realistically reverse decades of industrial change, or whether they risk accelerating the very damage they're meant to prevent. This story sits at the intersection of economics, politics, and technology. And to understand how it reached this point, you have to look past the headlines and examine what actually pushed John Deere toward Mexico in the first place. Because the decision didn't start with Trump. It started with pressures that had been building for years. Real quick, if you're into videos that cut through the noise and break things down clearly, go ahead and hit that like button. It helps more people find this. And if you're not subscribed yet, now's a good time. We've got more deep dives coming your way. Also, drop a comment and let me know what you think. I'd love to hear your take. Now onto the video. John Deere's decision to expand manufacturing into Mexico did not happen overnight, and it wasn't driven by a single factor. It was the result of mounting structural pressures that have been reshaping industrial production across North America for more than a decade. Rising labor costs, persistent workforce shortages, and supply chain congestion have steadily eroded the economics of building certain types of equipment exclusively in the United States. The new facility in Monterrey, Mexico, represents a $55 million investment and is scheduled to begin production in 2026. It will focus on mid-frame skid steer loaders and compact track loaders, machines that are critical for small and mid-sized farms, construction firms, and landscaping operations. These products operate on tighter margins than large harvesters or high-end agricultural equipment, making production costs far more sensitive to labor and logistics expenses. Mexico offers several advantages that directly address those pressures. Labor costs are significantly lower than in the US, but just as important, the workforce is younger and increasingly skilled in advanced manufacturing. Northern Mexico, particularly Monterrey, has become a major industrial hub with deep experience in automotive, machinery, and heavy equipment production. The region also provides logistical advantages, with established rail and highway connections that make it easier to serve both North American and Latin American markets. Access to growing agricultural economies played a major role as well. Deere has been expanding its footprint in countries like Brazil, Argentina, and Colombia, where demand for compact and mid-sized machinery continues to rise. Producing equipment closer to those markets reduces shipping costs, shortens delivery timelines, and improves responsiveness during periods of high demand or supply chain disruption. Importantly, Deere is not acting alone. Competitors such as AgCO and CNH Industrial have made similar adjustments, shifting or expanding production outside the US to remain competitive amid inflation, higher borrowing costs, and lingering post-pandemic disruptions. From an industry perspective, this is less about offshoring and more about rebalancing production across regions to manage risk. Still, timing matters. Deere's announcement arrived as rural American manufacturing communities were already anxious about layoffs, plant consolidations, and slowing demand. Even though the company emphasized that its core US operations, including large harvesters built in Iowa and Illinois, would remain intact, the optics were difficult to ignore. For many workers and farmers, the move felt symbolic, regardless of the numbers behind it. And that perception would prove just as powerful as the economics driving the decision, setting the stage for the political backlash that followed. Donald Trump's reaction to John Deere's Mexico expansion transformed a corporate manufacturing decision into a political confrontation almost overnight. Speaking at rallies and interviews, Trump framed the move not as a business calculation, but as a symbolic abandonment of American workers. His warning was blunt. If Deere manufactures equipment abroad and sells it back into the US, it could face tariffs as high as 200%. Tariffs of that magnitude are extremely rare in modern trade policy, especially between neighboring countries with deeply integrated supply chains. But Trump's message was less about technical feasibility and more about signaling intent. The threat was meant to send a clear warning, not just to Deere, but to any US-based manufacturer considering shifting production outside the country. From Trump's perspective, Deere represented the perfect political target. The company is synonymous with rural America, farming heritage, and domestic manufacturing pride. Its green and yellow machines are fixtures across the Midwest, making the brand emotionally resonant among voters in key agricultural states. By singling out Deere, Trump tapped into broader anxieties about job losses, globalization, and the erosion of local manufacturing communities. However, the policy implications of such tariffs would be far-reaching. A 200% tariff would dramatically increase the cost of imported equipment, and those costs would not be absorbed by corporations alone. Equipment manufacturers would likely pass them on to dealers, who would in turn raise prices for farmers. At a time when farmers are already grappling with high interest rates, volatile commodity prices, and rising input costs, the added burden could be severe. There is also the risk of retaliation. Mexico is one of the United States' largest trading partners, and any punitive tariffs could trigger countermeasures affecting US agricultural exports. Corn, soybeans, beef, and dairy products, all staples of American farming, could become targets in a broader trade dispute. Trump's allies in Congress quickly echoed his stance, proposing measures to restrict federal purchases of foreign-made agricultural equipment and exploring policies that would tie government contracts to domestic production levels. While none of these proposals have yet been enacted, their rapid emergence underscored how quickly the issue had escalated beyond Deere itself. What began as a factory expansion had become a test case for how aggressively the US might push back against globalized manufacturing and how much economic pain it was willing to risk in the process. As the political rhetoric intensified, the practical consequences of a potential tariff war began to sink in across rural America. For farmers, the stakes are not ideological, they are financial. Heavy machinery represents one of the largest capital expenses on a farm, often financed through long-term loans that depend on stable pricing and predictable cash flow. If tariffs were imposed on equipment manufactured in Mexico, the immediate effect would likely be higher prices at the dealership level. Even modest increases can have outsized impacts. A compact track loader or skid steer can already cost tens of thousands of dollars. Sharp price hikes would push many farmers to delay purchases, turn to used equipment, or extend the life of aging machinery beyond optimal performance windows. Dealers would feel the pressure next. Many rural dealerships operate on thin margins, balancing inventory costs, service revenue, and seasonal demand cycles. Reduced new equipment sales could weaken their financial stability, leading to consolidation or closures, especially in smaller communities where dealerships serve as economic anchors. Repair shops and parts suppliers would also be affected. While higher equipment prices might temporarily increase demand for repairs, prolonged delays in fleet upgrades can reduce overall productivity on farms. That, in turn, can hurt crop yields, efficiency, and long-term competitiveness, particularly as global food demand continues to rise. Farmers' opinions on the issue are sharply divided. Some support tougher trade measures, believing they are necessary to protect American manufacturing jobs. Others see tariffs as blunt instruments that risk harming the very people they are meant to defend. On farm radio shows, online forums, and town halls, a recurring question has emerged: who ultimately pays the price for these policies? Complicating matters further is the financial stress already facing the agricultural sector. Higher borrowing costs have made financing equipment more expensive, while lower commodity prices have squeezed margins. According to industry data, many farmers are postponing major purchases, opting instead for rentals or second-hand machines. In this environment, uncertainty itself becomes a problem. Even the threat of tariffs can disrupt purchasing decisions, as farmers hesitate to commit amid fears of sudden price spikes. What was once a predictable planning cycle has become increasingly fragile, and as farmers wrestle with these realities, another layer of the story is quietly unfolding, one that goes beyond politics or trade and cuts directly into Deere's financial position. John Deere's expansion into Mexico comes at a time when the company is navigating significant financial headwinds. Its latest earnings reports revealed a sharp decline in revenue, with some segments experiencing drops of more than 30% compared to the previous year. These figures fell short of Wall Street expectations and reflected broader challenges across the agricultural sector. Several factors are driving the slowdown. Lower commodity prices have reduced farmers' purchasing power, while high interest rates have made financing new equipment more expensive. As a result, demand for large-scale agricultural machinery has weakened, particularly in North America. Deere has acknowledged that sales in its large agriculture and precision agriculture segments could decline by as much as 20%. At the same time, the used equipment market has surged. Platforms tracking agricultural machinery sales have reported significant increases in used tractor and combine listings, signaling that farmers are holding on to cash and avoiding new purchases. For manufacturers like Deere, this shift creates a difficult environment: lower volumes, tighter margins, and greater pressure to control costs. Despite these challenges, Deere remains profitable. The company has projected billions of dollars in net income for upcoming fiscal years, supported by aggressive cost-cutting measures, operational efficiencies, and a growing emphasis on automation. Investors have responded cautiously, but not pessimistically. After an initial dip following earnings announcements, Deere's stock rebounded, suggesting confidence in its long-term strategy. A key part of that strategy is diversification. More than half of Deere's agricultural and turf equipment exports now go to markets outside the United States, including Canada, Europe, Brazil, and Australia. This global footprint provides resilience when domestic demand softens, but it also fuels criticism that the company is prioritizing international growth over American manufacturing loyalty. Deere's leadership has framed the Mexico expansion as a way to remain competitive in an increasingly global industry. From their perspective, maintaining profitability and technological leadership requires flexibility, not geographic rigidity. But balancing that global efficiency with domestic political expectations has become increasingly difficult. As financial pressures mount and political scrutiny intensifies, Deere finds itself walking a narrow path, one where every strategic move is interpreted not just through economic logic, but through the lens of national identity. And looming over all of it is a force even more disruptive than tariffs or revenue declines: automation, which is rapidly reshaping what manufacturing and farming will look like in the years ahead. While tariffs and factory locations dominate headlines, a deeper transformation is quietly reshaping John Deere's future and the future of farming itself. Automation. In many ways, the controversy over whether equipment is built in Iowa or Mexico misses a more consequential shift: the growing role of machines that no longer require human operators at all. John Deere has been investing heavily in autonomous and precision agriculture technologies for years. Its latest generation of tractors can operate without a driver, guided by GPS, cameras, LiDAR, and artificial intelligence systems capable of detecting obstacles, adjusting routes, and optimizing performance in real time. These machines are designed to work longer hours than human operators, reduce error, and operate with consistent efficiency regardless of labor availability. Beyond autonomous tractors, Deere has expanded its suite of AI-driven tools. Precision sprayers now use computer vision to identify weeds and apply chemicals only where needed, reducing costs and environmental impact. Drones and sensors monitor soil conditions and crop health, while cloud-based software analyzes data to guide planting, fertilization, and harvesting decisions. All of it feeds into Deere's Operations Center, a digital platform that allows farmers to oversee entire fleets from a smartphone or tablet. These technologies fundamentally change the economics of farming and manufacturing. When productivity gains come from software and automation, labor costs, once a central factor in deciding where to build, become less decisive. An autonomous tractor performs the same whether it was assembled in Illinois or Monterey. In that context, geographic debates begin to lose relevance. this is where the conversation becomes uncomfortable. According to projections by Oxford Economics and other research groups, automation could displace millions of manufacturing and agricultural jobs globally over the next decade. Deere's strategy reflects that reality. The company is not simply shifting jobs across borders, it is redesigning systems to reduce reliance on human labor altogether. For policymakers and communities, this presents a challenge that tariffs cannot solve. Protecting factory jobs through trade barriers does little to address a future where fewer workers are needed in the first place. The real question becomes whether the workforce is being retrained quickly enough to adapt to roles in maintenance, data analysis, software, and advanced manufacturing. As Deere accelerates its automation push, the debate over Mexico risks becoming a proxy for a much larger anxiety, one about technological disruption that no tariff can stop. At first glance, John Deere's expansion into Mexico looks like a familiar story, a major manufacturer chasing lower costs, triggering political backlash, and igniting a debate over jobs and trade. But beneath the surface, this conflict reveals something far more significant. It exposes the tension between an economy that is rapidly evolving and a political narrative that still clings to the industrial past. The tariff threats, the accusations of betrayal, and the calls to bring jobs home all focus on geography. Yet the most powerful force reshaping American manufacturing isn't borders, it's technology. Automation, artificial intelligence, and data-driven systems are redefining how equipment is built and how farms operate. These changes promise efficiency and productivity, but they also challenge long-held assumptions about labor, community, and economic security. For John Deere, the path forward involves balancing global competitiveness with domestic expectations, innovation with tradition, and profitability with public trust. For policymakers, the challenge is even greater. Tariffs may send a message, but they do little to prepare workers for an automated future or to address the structural shifts already underway. Farmers, meanwhile, remain caught in the middle. They need affordable, reliable equipment to survive in a volatile market. Yet they also want to see their communities thrive. Rising costs, political uncertainty, and technological disruption make planning more difficult with each passing year. The Deere controversy ultimately raises a question that extends far beyond one company. Can the US adapt to a future where manufacturing success depends less on where products are built and more on how intelligently they are designed and deployed? Or will the country attempt to slow change through policies that risk unintended consequences? As this debate unfolds, one thing is clear: the decisions made now by corporations, politicians, and communities will shape not just the future of farming, but the meaning of American industry itself. Once again, thanks for watching this video. If you got something out of this, hit that like button and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the next one. And hey, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Agree, disagree, or something in between. I'd love to hear it.